Your hoity-toity neighbors.
Hey, welcome to the Toolshed. Hey, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Glad you stopped by. I'm hanging out today with my buddy Eddie McFarlane. Good morning, sir.
What's up?
How are you?
Living the dream.
Hey, today's episode is going to be a really good one. If you're an apprentice, if you're in your second year, you're in your 12th year, you're in your 22nd year, today's a conversation that could really help you. In fact, it could help you have your best summer ever, maybe your best year ever. It could literally be career changing.
It could, honestly, it could be.
Today's a good episode. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk about replace versus repair. When is it time just to give up?
Right on.
When's it time to give up that unit? And so, hey, you know, the tool shed is brought to you by Schedule Engine, and we're thankful for this beautiful tool shed that we get to work in every day. And today's episode is sponsored by our good friends over at Emerson. And Eddie, we got something special today as far as a video goes.
Yeah. Yep. We got a bunch of stuff to get into. We got videos. We've got shout outs. Before I forget, mentioned a couple of days ago, it's official. We're doing another tool giveaway.
Next week, we're going to give away some stuff. Make sure you tune in.
A Weira screwdriver set. We had some requests for Klein. We got the Klein. And of course, before you ask, we'll do another Vito Pro Pack, because do you even trade if you don't have a Pro Pack? I don't know. I made that up. Anyway. Let's jump right in, because today we've got another video from a friend. At this point, we're going international.
We are.
We're going up to our friends in the north in Canada. Why don't we go ahead and roll the video, and we'll do introductions when we're done.
Hello everyone, this is HVAC Jess bringing you your apprentice tip of the week. This week I'm talking about going to trade school. If you're going to trade school for the first time, it might be a good idea to brush up on your grade 12 math and science. When I went to HVAC school, I was a bit surprised to be reacquainted with Pythagoras, but that's okay. And I probably would have done a lot better for my level 2 if I had gone through my notes in level 1 a week or two before going back to school. That's going to be my approach for next year when I go back to level 3. I'm going to read through all of my notes from level 1 and 2 so that I'm a little bit ahead of the game. And I suggest that you guys try the same. Happy HVACing, guys!
All right.
There you go.
So that's HVAC Jess. You can find her on Instagram. And what I love is just another apprentice going through the trades. You've been following her for a while. She's been in the field, and she's working on it just like we all do here at the Tool Shed every day, bringing the best to the trades. I was legitimately surprised by how much math was in here. When you get into Ohm's law and you're trying to figure out temp rise and I'm like, I was told there'd be no math on this quiz. And you know that nightmare where you didn't study, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, what's the, and you're like,
I've been told all my life if you would have read your notes, you could have done a little better.
Man, isn't that the truth?
I've even got notes that I don't read here.
Would you do me a favor, read them, okay? we got lots of notes in the shed. So thanks. Go ahead, give HVAC Jess a follow for your apprentices. She's going to be giving us some tips. And yeah, regardless of where you're at in your career, whether you're apprentice or you're on the championship end of the spectrum, there's always something to learn. So we're grateful for her. Let's do shout-outs, because you and I got new hats.
Hey, we do have new hats, and I'm
man.
excited about this one because it looks good on
Wow.
me. Yeah, look at
that.
that. From our friends at Bradham Brothers. You know the guys at Bradham Brothers.
Yeah, man. Listen, the Bradham Brothers are just good people. Your neck of the woods, Charlotte. They've been good friends of Schedule Engine for, oh my gosh, I want to say 2 or 3 years now. So we love what they do, but we love the way they do it, and taking care of their neighbors, their friends, and community. So here's specifically what we've heard. Joe Chisholm, he's been there about 5 years, and get this, people say that he's a really good listener. So when you think about everything that we've been talking about at the shed, it sounds like he could pull up a stool, hang here, and teach us a few lessons. And so Joe, we love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I think you could probably teach today's guide, and we appreciate everything you're doing to elevate the trades and take care of our customers. And when you think about it, we talk about sharing the truth, sharing information, giving the information, then being quiet. That sounds like a good listener. So well done, Joe. And we're glad you're here, and thanks for coming to the Toolshed.
Way to go, Joe.
Crushing it.
Hey,
down
thanks, Pete Bradham. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, today we're going to talk about repair versus replace.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a great conversation. We're going to give you some really good tips. But like one thing that I always like to talk to technicians about is we want to make sure we ask, don't tell.
Right on.
And so ask, don't tell sounds like this. If you tell people your air conditioner is 12 years old, they only last about 12 years, you should replace it. Now you're coming into my home and you're telling me how to spend my money. And that's not what we talk about on the Toolshed. We talk about we educate, you decide.
Right on.
So ask, don't tell. And
Yeah,
we're going to get into how to ask.
Yeah, the reason that's important. Like I had a car. We're talking about it earlier. Like sometimes, you don't always make logical decisions, right? So my very first car, I'm not bragging, 1980 VW Polo. So if you're North America, you're probably Googling that right now. But a Polo was kind of a cool. Now it'd been painted with a brush, bright red. It was so ugly, I literally got pulled over for the cops. They were like, what are you doing? And I pushed that car more than I drove it, but I loved it. And when the first thing that went wrong with it, I ended up spending like $50 on it, or £50, which is a lot of money then. I think I only paid a couple of hundred. And then a little bit after that, there was something wrong with the exhaust, so I spent like, close to £100 on that. And before long, what was happening is I had put more money in than I'd paid for the car. And when we think about everything that we do and why it's so important to educate and let the customers choose, sometimes we get emotional, and what can happen is we're putting good money after bad, is what they say, right? And so sometimes we just need to stop, have the conversation with the customer, let the customer decide. But everything Jerry and I has learned over the years is that the pros have really a really good way, and there's certain things that they hit on every conversation. They call it playing the tape forward.
Oh, that's one of my best things, one of your best things that you talk about.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so
I'll use it, but it's yours.
So I probably stole it from someone. So for the kids, a tape, believe it or not, before Netflix, they actually used to deliver a CD to your house. That's how you'd watch movies. And before that, on Friday nights, boomers like us, we'd go grab a pizza and we'd stand and stare at a wall of empty cassettes, and then some guy would give us a videotape. And that's what the whole movie was on there, right? And so what would happen is to get to the end or fast forward, you can fast forward and rewind. And what we need to do is we need to help our customers see the end of the movie. And we know the plot. We've seen this movie before. We know when we come across an 18-year-old piece of equipment, a 20-year-old piece of equipment, or an 10-year-old water heater. We know how this movie ends. Our customers don't. So we need to hit the major plot lines, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what are some of the must-have conversations that you like to hit with your customer? What's the first one that comes to mind?
Yeah, so the first one really is about the age of the equipment.
Right on.
So it's all about the age of the equipment. So it's engineered obsolescence. They're engineered to fail. And so when they get to a certain age, they're going to have critical failure.
They do.
So instead of telling people, hey, your unit's 12 years old, they only last 12 years old, it would sound like, hey, do you know how old your air conditioner is?
Oh, we moved here 10 years ago. It was here. I think it was a show, so maybe like 12 years.
So it's pretty safe to assume it's in the 10 to 12 years.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
And do you have any idea about how long they last typically in your area?
Is it 12 years?
It's close to that.
Oh,
so
man.
like, hey, we're going to talk about some things today, but what do you want to happen with it?
You know what? If it's at the end of the life, I mean, I'd love to hear some options, because that's the way the conversation goes. And you always say, don't lead the witness, right?
Don't lead the witness. That's
just
right.
let them answer. And for a pro move, before you answer the question, before the homeowner said, well, what about this? There's other things that we should talk about. So we've talked about the age. We should talk about the potential age. So, okay, Mr. Smith, we can get this up and running, but what do you want to do after it's running? So in many cases, before we can do a thorough evaluation, for example, everyday repair would be a contact or a compressor, a capacitor, something like that. We could go ahead and put that in, or put the fan motor in the HVAC system or whatever it is, and then get up and running and find out that we have another issue. We can't take those parts back. Typically, most places, once you put that motor in, you can't take it back to the supply house for credit. Some people keep them and use them for emergencies, but like we can't do anything. We can't sell that to another customer. So they need to know before, hey, I'm happy to put this in, but let's just talk about like how much longer would you like this to last? And if we got this up and running, and what would you do if after it was up and running we had another repair next year, right? So we talk about age, we talk about the potential age, and then there's a couple of repair conversations because there's the today's repair, but then what else do you like to talk about?
So it's all about what it's going to cost today to get you up and running, maybe sometimes just to see what's going on with it, but the potential cost is what we really want to talk about. And listen, the best technicians that I know that are really good at this, they talk about today's repair and what today's repair is going to cost, but they really focus on the potential of what it's going to cost future cost. So it's kind of like your car.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's sort of like, in the 80s, all those like hero movies, the villain just wouldn't die. The future repair is the baddie of this whole movie. Like the future repair, the unplanned expense after today, that's the villain that you gotta let people know. Like, not dead. Like once we get this going, I don't know about you, Mr. Smith, but as I get older, I typically go to the doctor more than I did when I was younger. Like you're going to see people like me a lot more as this ages.
Yeah.
And is that okay?
Yeah. So when it comes to repair versus replace, sometimes it's good to have that conversation. Like, hey, Mr. Homeowner, like we can get you up and running. We can do these repairs, but you're gonna, you're getting a shot today. You're going to get another shot in the future, and then you're going to get another shot. Sometimes people just say, hey, I just want one big shot,
right,
and then I want to be over with. And then if I have a warranty, I don't ever have to get another shot.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Like these are all their sort of reasons for repair, but there's benefits to replacing, and we need to have those conversations too. So there's things to consider. If the old system got 10 miles to the gallon, or the old water heater, whatever the case may be, and the new one gets 20. Well, we know it's probably still not, if it's old, it's not getting that 10 miles. So there's energy savings that can be had. And that's, again, whether you think it's a law or not, it's not up to you. We just need to let the homeowner know that's an option. And then the other thing that happens quite a lot in a lot of different industries is seasonal rebates or incentives.
Yeah, that definitely happens, and we may have a rebate now, but you may not have that rebate next year, and so that's a risk, and it's all about risk aversion, and so we talk about that a little bit, but like there's warranties involved.
Yeah, that's right.
And we talked about yesterday about doing the math for the homeowner.
Oh my goodness.
You got to do the math for them, and so I would encourage you, like, look up their history. If they spent $400 in 2015, and then 2016 they spent $99 on a tune-up
or a start,
and
whatever.
Then the next year they spent $400. If you add all that up, now they've spent about $1,200, $1,500 to repair it over the years, and now you add on today's repair and you add on a future repair. Sometimes it's just time to give up.
Yeah, it's like we've all been in that home where it's a retired engineer and they've got the spreadsheet of every cost they've ever spent and what they keep the thermostat at. But there's other people that they don't really keep track of that. They just remember how they feel, and we call that, like, the fancy term for that is sunk cost. They've sunk the money into it, and it's like, well, I've spent this much on it, I should spend a little bit more, and then that's where it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And sometimes we need to go through this so that the customer, and we need to be really good at it. We need to hit all of these in a nice logical order so that it seems like we've had our facts. The last thing to probably talk about is lifestyle. Mr. Smith, you talked earlier how you moved here 5 years ago, or you're going to be here for the next 10. Do you want to just start enjoying that quieter system on your patio today? And if they're saying, well, I want to wait or two, this is where, for extra credit, the cats that know, we'll talk about some financing that maybe they offer, right? Like, hey, if you want to wait 18 months or a year, why don't we go ahead and you can start getting all the benefits today. We can do the paperwork, and then
you can pay for it in the future.
With tax return or your retirement, or your getting your finances in order. You want to cash some bonds, whatever the case may be. You hear it all. But that way, the nice, gentle, like, you need to ask at some point, do you want to do it? And it's totally fine if they say no, because they're going to choose. But go through it. You know how this movie ends. They don't. And for service managers out there, right? Yeah.
Hey, listen, we know a lot of service managers that are using the Toolshed and using it in their service meeting. Today's episode's like a six-pack of meetings.
Oh my
like
goodness,
you can
yeah.
take each of these subjects and have a meeting about it. We know technicians that spend 10 minutes just talking about today's cost and 10 minutes talking about the future cost. And so, great episode for service managers to have a meeting over.
Buddy up. Practice, because this is one you absolutely want to practice, because you're going to find out things like ASHRAE, the American Society of Heat and Refrigeration Engineers. They'll tell you how long stuff, so you can say stuff, and when you practice, you hear somebody say that, you're like, oh, that's gold, I'm going to use that. And so that's kind of what the Toolshed is, right? One big practice area. So that's it. Listen, there's a number of different things, and whether it's a roof, whether it's a pool filter and heater, whatever the case may be. Make sure that whatever's relevant for you, you know what they are. Be a tradesman, be about your business, know the ins and outs. Make sure you're having the conversation with the customer. This is what we talk about, asymmetrical information. We know stuff, and it's our moral responsibility to give that information. If we hold back information, that's black hat. We're not doing our job. The customer is not getting the full value of what they pay for, and that's bogus. Marlin wouldn't do that. So today's challenge, commit to having long-term conversations with people. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
Hey.
I love the people that take care of the customers by doing this. To me, this is the cats that I've always admired. This can be an emotional, expensive conversation for people, and to be able to walk someone through that and not only have them make a change, but feel really good about it. Pooh.
Feel really good about it.
Really good about it. Anyway.
Right, what's that one saying you like about your friend Charlie says about?
It's better to spend a little bit more than you planned than to find out you didn't spend enough. The decisions we talk about, the customer will last. They'll live with for 10 or 15, 20 years.
Long
so let's
term.
take care of our customers today by having good conversations, play the tape forward. Okay, thanks for coming to the Toolshed. Thanks for HVAC Jess, Schedule Engine for the glorious one-of-a-kind Toolshed, our friends at Emerson for sponsoring, and as always, my friend Jerry says...
Thanks for Eddie for telling us about a car so ugly that he got pulled over because his car was ugly. Hey, be good out there so you can do good out there. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by the Toolshed. Love you guys.
See ya.